The James Webb Telescope has just captured a terrifying object in space, sparking new questions among scientists. This strange object known as Oumuamua has confused astronomers since its discovery. The recent image taken by the telescope might finally reveal the truth behind this strange interstellar visitor. Could it be something more than just a space rock, possibly connected to extraterrestrial life? Let us dive into the thrilling story of Oumuamua and what this new image might reveal, and trust us, this is just the beginning of what will leave you questioning everything. Back on October 19, 2017, folks caught sight of a peculiar object called Oumuamua moving quickly through our solar system. This object had been around for over 100 years, but nobody had spotted it until then. It had reached a significant space landmark way back in 1837, yet no astronomers were able to spot it. For many decades, Oumuamua cruised through our solar system undetected, maintaining a steady pace, but it somehow stayed off the radar of both astronomers and their powerful telescopes until 2017. That year, Robert Weryk, a researcher at the University of Hawaii, finally noticed something unusual. He saw a long faint streak across the sky through the PANICKING telescope. What he was looking at was a swiftly moving object, the likes of which no one had seen before. Could this be a glimpse into the presence of something far more advanced than we ever imagined? Stick around, because what comes next is even more shocking. At first, the scientific community thought Oumuamua might be a comet because it didn't behave like typical space rocks, but then they classified it as an asteroid, those small rocky bodies we usually find floating between Mars and Jupiter. Yet as they kept watching it, they noticed Oumuamua was getting away from the sun faster than expected, making it hard to pin down exactly what it was. The thing didn't show any signs of the usual comet behavior, like emitting gas as it sped up, which really threw off the scientists, making them second guess if it was really an asteroid or a comet. One of the coolest things about Oumuamua was how it kept getting brighter and then dimmer every 7.3 hours, which suggested it was tumbling through space, probably spinning along its shorter side. This kind of movement told scientists that Oumuamua wasn't just your average space rock. It was tough, made to last much longer than the usual fragile comets made of ice and dust. It had a dark red color too, similar to the moons far out in our solar system, which hinted that it had been floating through space for ages, getting hit by cosmic radiation that changed its outer layer. As the experts dug deeper into the data, some started to wonder if maybe Oumuamua was something straight out of a science fiction book, like a high-tech alien probe or even an old piece of alien spacecraft. Though others thought it might just be a new kind of comet or asteroid, there were also those who thought maybe it was a broken piece from a planet in some other star system that got destroyed. No one could really agree on what exactly Oumuamua was. Figuring out where Oumuamua was headed next was also tricky, because it had already started moving away from the sun and was leaving our solar system at quite an angle. The latest guesses are that Oumuamua is on its way back to roaming through the stars, continuing its long, lonely trip across the universe. When Oumuamua popped up in 2017, it sparked a whole lot of chatter and excitement among space buff scientists and just about everyone else. This odd visitor from outer space, the first of its kind we've ever confirmed, kicked off a whole bunch of guesses and debates about where it came from and what it really is. Was it just another wanderer of the cosmos, or was there a chance it was some kind of alien gadget sent to peek at our solar system? At first, the folks studying the skies pegged Oumuamua as a rocky thing, maybe an asteroid, but its shape was weird, super long and skinny, about 2,624 feet end to end, but only 262 feet across, not matching any of the usual rocks floating around our neighborhood in space. As they gathered more info, some started to think maybe Oumuamua was packed with gas, which could explain why it suddenly picked up speed as it moved away from the sun. Then came an even wilder idea: what if Oumuamua wasn't a natural object at all, but some kind of spacecraft from another world? As experts kept discussing this strange object, Oumuamua's unusual behavior led to even more interesting ideas. Did aliens send this? The strange way Oumuamua moved, speeding up when it shouldn't have, really made people think. Normally comets speed up because they spew out gas and dust when they get close to the sun and warm up, but Oumuamua didn't show any signs of doing that. So some scientists began to wonder if it might be an exploring probe sent by beings from another planet. Sure, it sounds like something from a movie, but for those open to the idea of aliens, it's a pretty exciting thought. Dr. Michio Kaku, a big-name theoretical physicist, threw out the idea that Oumuamua could have been tossed our way by a supernova, a huge star explosion far off in space. Tech mogul Elon Musk suggested that it might have come from a collision between two space rocks that melted together, giving Oumuamua its odd stretched-out shape. Initially it seemed like Oumuamua was heading towards Vega, one of the brightest stars we know, which got everyone excited because Vega is surrounded by a cloud of space debris. It looked like it might have taken Oumuamua about 600,000 years to travel from Vega to where it was found. But this idea didn't hold up once they realized Oumuamua's path had changed over time. Astronomers figured out that it must have whipped past another star system before it ended up here. Its speed matched that of the stars in our local slice of the galaxy, suggesting that Oumuamua had been sailing through the Milky Way for billions of years before it dropped by our solar system. Another interesting theory is that Oumuamua is a piece of nitrogen ice, kind of like what you'd find on a distant icy world similar to Pluto that got knocked off by a big collision. For this to make sense, Oumuamua would have to be a lot smaller than we first thought. Even so, this idea has picked up some fans because it helps explain both what Oumuamua is made of and why it started speeding up out of the blue. One key discovery made soon after it was found was that Oumuamua was moving along a hyperbolic orbit, a kind of path that looks like a stretched-out boomerang, which showed it wasn't from around here but just passing through. This led to a lot of speculation about whether we'd ever see Oumuamua again, with many thinking it would just drift off into space, never to return. Yet Oumuamua kept surprising everyone, especially when it started moving faster as it got closer to the Sun. While the gravity from big space objects like planets and stars can make smaller things like comets and asteroids move faster, that alone didn't fully explain the speed Oumuamua reached, which was about 177 feet per second, 54 miles per hour, nearly 3 times faster than the average comet zipping through our solar system. This odd behavior made the experts rethink their first guess that Oumuamua was just an asteroid, leading many to wonder if it could actually be a comet after all. Most comets get their speed boost from a process known as outgassing. This happens when ice on the comet's surface heats up near the Sun and turns into gas, giving the comet a little extra push. This gas release is also what forms the comet's tail, but Oumuamua, an unusual space object, didn't show any of these typical signs. Even without clear indicators of outgassing, scientists were keen to understand why it was behaving differently. They came up with several ideas to explain Oumuamua's unexpected speed increase, but each theory had its own issues and unanswered questions. Recently, 2 researchers, Jennifer Bergner from the University of California, Berkeley, and Darrell Seligman from Cornell University, suggested a new way to look at things. They thought that Oumuamua's actions might be due to outgassing, but triggered by processes outside our solar system that aren't well understood yet. According to them, as Oumuamua traveled through the space between stars, it encountered cosmic rays that could have released hydrogen trapped inside its icy structure. When Oumuamua entered our solar system and warmed up, this hydrogen might have started escaping, providing enough thrust to explain its observed acceleration. Their math showed that this hydrogen outgassing could indeed explain how Oumuamua moved. With each new idea, the questions only grew, showing that Oumuamua's path was anything but simple. This idea isn't new to science. For years, experiments have shown that high-energy cosmic rays can separate molecular hydrogen from water ice and store it inside celestial objects. Seligman pointed out that their explanation is simpler and more down-to-earth compared to earlier, more speculative ideas, such as Oumuamua being just a chunk of hydrogen ice or made of some other exotic material. However, not everyone is convinced. Harvard scientist Avi Loeb, known for his bold theories, including the one where he suggested Oumuamua could be an alien spaceship, criticized their new theory. He argued that Bergner and Seligman might have made a mistake in calculating the surface temperature of Oumuamua, leading them to overestimate how much hydrogen it could hold. According to Loeb, the amount of hydrogen wouldn't have been enough to cause the acceleration we saw, so the question remains: could Oumuamua have been an alien visitor after all?